Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Sharp Angle Syndicate. That's right. It's the podcast with no name. Perhaps the podcast to be named later. That's right. I'm the player to be named later. We got a lot going on. Obviously, Super Bowl going to dominate the discussion. We don't forget about college basketball, though, here at Sharp Angle Syndicate. And you know why when you hear our record so far year to date. Now, who's going to be coming at you tonight? He's down there in New Orleans. He is Stevie Shrimp from the mean streets of New Orleans. How are we doing this fine evening?
Good, Ryan. Glad to be here.
I can
Nice,
tell.
quiet Sunday evening here.
I can tell the excitement, the energy. Glad to be here. Like Bill Belichick doing a sports podcast. He's Todd Smitty Bucks, the Wilds of Virginia. You know him with his best bet. In these deep, dark days for you as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, what do you do to occupy your time?
Think about Pittsburgh Pirate baseball. I don't know. I don't know. Let's just go into something. You know what I did today? We just fired games all day. We did a lot of live bets, and we just try to throw it. It's Sunday fun day, man. The energy's great. We're just fired a lot of plays today. If we win girls games right now, too, we're firing girls basketball. We're doing everything. Russian ping pong might be up next. Who knows?
I woke up. I was all excited. Santa Anita coming up later today, and then I'm like, oh, wait, they canceled. I'm going to have to actually do laundry. I had to actually make myself useful today. My wife thought something was wrong. All right, let's get it going. But before we do, folks, I got to brag on these guys. They are absolutely killing it. I've going over 54% winning percentage in our inaugural year in 2023. Sharp Angle Syndicate subscribers right now, year to date, are 57 and 37 on our premium picks. That dog will hunt, as they say around our part of the world. And I don't know if you guys out there are paying for your picks, but it's probably a lot more than what we're charging. You can save right now 20%. If you're interested in winning, pause the podcast right now. Go to sharpanglesyndicate.com. Hit subscribe. 20% off promo code NBW20. It's already stupid low. The marketing department is ready to fire all of us for keeping these prices low, but we want you guys to win, and we want you guys not have to pay an arm and leg to do it. There's no reason to do it, and we are proving it every day here with Steve, with Todd, and what we're doing at Sharp Angle Syndicate. So go to the website, sharpanglesyndicate.com. Subscribe today. You will thank us later. All right, we got to wait a second because everybody's pausing. They're signing up. And now they're back. See the magic of the podcast. Before we get to maybe your game script, what do you think is going to happen Sunday for San Francisco and Kansas City, guys? And Todd, we'll start off with you. Is this the Super Bowl you wanted to see? It's one you got. But is this the one you wanted to see either as a fan or as a sports bettor?
No, I'd rather have seen the Steelers in it, but that didn't happen. So now we move on. No, I think that's, I think everybody wanted to see Baltimore, and especially being a Steeler fans, I'm kind of glad they lost. Now, Kansas City is not one of my favorite teams too. I'm tired of hearing about Mahomes, Kelsey, Taylor Swift, and all that. But, what can you do? They deserve to be here. They went on the road. Mahomes was never on the road in the playoffs and went in and won at Buffalo and then went back and went into Baltimore and won. And, San Francisco, I think overall was the best team in the NFC. They've really struggled since that game against Baltimore. I think it was Christmas Eve.
Yeah, the Christmas night massacre.
Yeah. So, these are, they're well-deserved. They're two good teams, and, we'll get after it here in a second what we think on it. But no, I think it's a good matchup. I think it should be an interesting week. You already had some action. You always have that drama going into it, and you already have one with the star quarterback and his dad now. So there's always going to be a story leading up into it, and that broke today. So it should be an interesting week of what kind of comes out of it.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes, I saw somebody say nobody would probably would hold against him if he suddenly went Aaron Rodgers on his entire family. So I get that. And having covered him at Texas Tech for his dad, he's had a problem with these type issues for quite some time. You hate to see it. And this one's going to leave a mark. And that'll be discussed as the week goes on. And I don't know how much to play into it. It certainly comes at a really bad time if you're Patrick Mahomes. Stevie, what about you? Is this a game you like? Would you rather see a different matchup? What do you like about it or not like about it?
I've said all along that I thought San Francisco was the team out of the NFC, and I said the AFC, I felt like there was really 4 or 5 teams that could get there. And but I was always against Baltimore. I know Lamar Jackson's track record, and I knew all of that hype was unwarranted with that team. I mean, I like Harbaugh as a coach, but I mean, until you prove yourself, you can't put a team into the Super Bowl. And everybody thought Baltimore was a shoo-in, especially after they had beat San Fran on Christmas night. But I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I knew, kind of what would happen. I figured what would happen. And I mean, look, Mahomes is tough to beat. I mean, he's a warrior. Say what you want, like him, hate him. I mean, he's arrogant, but he's got a right to be arrogant. I mean, he's probably the best football player I've seen in my lifetime, bar none. I mean, he can do some incredible things. And people's been asking me who I like in the Super Bowl, and I really don't have my mind made up yet. But I will say this: San Francisco has the better team, and Kansas City's got the best player on the field. So we're gonna see what wins out there. But there's no doubt San Fran's the more talented team, top to bottom. And
when we get into looking at this, guys, does this kind of boil down a little bit to what you believe in? Do you believe in the Niners of the regular season and the full 18 games, or what you've maybe seen small sample size playoffs, and vice versa? Do you look at a Chiefs team that struggled mightily at times offensively, at least by their standards, but then has turned it on the last couple of weeks in the playoffs? Is that the script you've got to first work out in your head on what you believe? And I'll let you, either one go first.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I think that, I don't know. I don't really know how to say this when you say the script that worked out in your head. I mean, I know San Francisco showed a lot of heart coming back to beat Detroit, and that's what it's going to take to beat Kansas City. They obviously have no quit in them, and that was an impressive come from behind win. And I made a comment after they beat Green Bay in that playoff game. I said San Francisco just played their second worst game of the year and stole a win against Green Bay. I said this will probably pivot them to a Super Bowl trophy, and I'm going to go with that. I'm going to ride that theory. When they feel like they got a free one.
What about you, Smitty? What are we believing in this game?
Well, I think it's tough. I think if you look at these teams, they're two great teams again, and if you really break this down, who's the better coach? I think Reed is. Who's the better quarterback? Mahomes is. Who's the better defense? Kansas City is. So, you look at some numbers that I broke down. 11-1 ATS as a dog is Patrick Mahomes. I think that's very tough to take apart with that. Andy Reid's 8-1-1 ATS against San Francisco, 3-0-1 with the Chiefs. I don't know. I've done one play so far. I've done a teaser. I jumped on it right away after that Sunday night game last week. I teased Kansas City up to 7.5, and I took the points way up because, again, if you look at this team, this is a team that just Kansas City is a very second half slow team. Fourth quarter unders are money against them. I think this one's going to be a little slower, and I'll go into some player props and some thoughts I have in this. But I think Kansas City overall is the better team.
Well, let's move that direction. Let's look at the props. They have exploded now. I think I heard this week Circa has upward 400, maybe 450 different game props, player props on it. We've watched the rise of this over the last really 10, 15 years, I would say. Stevie, I'll go with you. If it's a game, when you have a game like this, that maybe you're not committed totally to a total or to a side, is there value in looking in the props? Can you find some good plus money things that you like? Some inefficiency maybe even in the market?
No doubt. And any sharp guy will tell you, if you're going to, bet props, the Super Bowl is the best event to bet the props because there's so many of them and there's no way they're going to get all of the lines dead perfect. So by having the volume of props they have on the Super Bowl, you can find value, 20, 30, 40, even as much as 50 cents of value on some of these props. And I have a handful of them that I just bet every year because they're so strong historically. And the line really doesn't justify the track record of them. So, I mean, I've been pretty successful with them. I think I have like 6 of them that I play just about every year.
Are you on those for this game? You can share
yes,
a couple. We
don't
want to give away the store, though, because we will have some more Super Bowl premium picks for you this week. I don't want to put you guys too much on the spot.
Okay. We'll save them for the site.
Did you notice that I had my pen? I was ready to write a couple down. I mean, hopefully I can text him here after the show and he'll give me some of those thoughts. I have a couple ideas.
Didn't you already release one or two with no wagering and some things you guys talked about?
No, I have not. You know, I can't wait to get on the show. We took a week off last week. I can't wait to get with Nails because Maddie does a great job breaking down some of the props, and I really enjoy him too. So I'm excited to see what he has to say and go. I mean, I have a couple ideas here I can just throw out. I mean, I think, again, this is one that if you look at San Francisco's offense, I mean, again, dynamite. I mean, McCaffrey's fantastic. I think they're going to have to get him the ball. So, I mean, you look at his rushing, I think it's 89.5. Yeah, it's 89.5 right now. These are off DraftKings. I wrote down today, minus 125 is the over. His average for the season was 91 yards. Carries is another one, 18.5. The average is 17. I think they're going to have to get him in. I'd look at his maybe receiving too. Pachenko for Kansas City. I think he's one that, guys, keep an eye on him. His last 8 games with the carries, I'm looking right now, over 16.5 is his carries on DraftKings this morning, minus 125. His last 8 games, 5 games, 18, 2 games, 15, 1 game, 11. This is a team with San Francisco I think you can run the ball against. And I think if they get a lead, Kansas City, they're going to pound him. And I think his over is 67.5. I kind of like his player props, both plays there. And I'm kind of looking at Purdy a little bit, maybe under the passing yards, just because I was shocked last week. And Stevie, I'd love to hear what he has to think with this. I was shocked the game plan with Baltimore last week. I thought they should have ran the ball with those 2 running backs, and they really were trying to throw the ball last week. I think if you're going to attack Kansas City, it has to be on the ground and not through the air. Their secondary is really good.
You going to run the ball, Stevie, if you were Shanahan?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you got to stick to what works. And, I mean, the fact that Lamar Jackson has obviously been a dog in the playoffs, you want to take as much off of his plate as possible. So that was really a no-brainer. I was kind of surprised that Baltimore's game plan to come out and throw it so much. And, you know, and look, I mean, as much as I thought Baltimore wasn't the right side in the game, I do feel like the officials kept them from getting back into the game. I mean, they swallowed the flag right before the end of the game. And, you know, the next play, Lamar Jackson throws an interception in the end zone. I mean, that could have been a huge swing. If they throw that flag, it's 1st and goal at the 1, they're going to score. It's a 3-point game. Who knows what could have happened at that point? It just goes to show you how much control the officials have over these games.
And we talk about San Francisco running the ball against the City defense. The advantage I think San Fran has in that area, using McCaffrey, little short swing passes, that's just like a run. It has the same impact against a defense as a run play. And he's the type of player that you can get out in space and do that. Now you've got a running back with the ball out there on the edge. So it'll be interesting to see how they attack it, but I do think they're going to run. I'm curious, you guys, when we talk about prop bets and correlating them to the way you think the game is going to go, and people use the term game script or just whatever, but if you think San Francisco is going to win, you probably don't want a lot of prop bets on Kansas City guys doing great things. What's a key to avoiding that for folks when they're making their prop bets?
Well, what I do is I keep that totally separate. Like I told you, I have 6 props that I bet every year, no matter what, and I'm going to bet those, and they're not really correlated to either side. They're just, you know, simple props. Like, and I mean, I'm going to mention one of them, for example, that the winning team will score in the last 3.5 minutes of the game, or there will be a score in the last 3.5 minutes of the game.
Gotcha.
That's a prop that I'm going to bet no matter who I bet on. It's just, you know, I don't really get into the passing yards and the running yards and all of that kind of stuff. That, to me, that's just really gambling. But there's a few props, and it's basically just what's going to happen in inside the game rather than what team's going to do it, you know. So that's how I pretty much play the game. I keep my bet on the game separate from the props.
Smitty, how do you correlate if you do your props to game?
Well, I think I kind of lean a little bit more props on the team I think that's going to win, but I always like to dabble a little bit with the opposite team too. And that's just kind of what I do. And, that I think the one great thing is the live bets. I think that's so big. I did a lot today in college basketball. I'm doing pretty well. If I'm going to my phone, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm keeping an eye on that Nebraska score and with everything. So, but I kind of like dabbling a little bit, and I just try to read the game. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's off. But I think I'll go stronger on the guys that I think that's going to really with the winning team, who I'm going to go with. But I like to dabble a little bit on the other team, because then you can get some money back if your other bets are going south.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that, I would tell folks. Let's say you're a big believer in Chiefs and whatever, you think they're going to do good, and you want to root for Chiefs, and you're having fun with the prop. All right, well, what if you're wrong? Well, what's the most likely scenario that you could be wrong? Well, probably Christian McCaffrey's having a really good day. Maybe that's an MVP bet you want to look at. Or Christian McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns or more scored in the game. What's going to blow up your other side? It's not a hedge. That's we throw around hedge so much now that the term is almost lost. It's not a true hedge mathematically, but it is just one way to have a little bit of protection, whatever. Then okay, if it doesn't go well, at least I got a little back on this side, like you're saying, just to dabble with the other players. All right, before we move away from prop bets, how many is too many, and how much of a tax is too big a tax for you want to lay on a prop bet? No matter how much you like it, no matter how much you think it's going to come through, it just, I don't know, it's not valuable. It has no value.
I would say to limit it to no more than 8, 8 to 10 tops for sure. And as far as the laying a price, I would not lay more than 2 to 1 on any one bet.
Yeah, I the number's kind of right. I wouldn't go any more over. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. It's kind of like anything. Like, this is the last one. I think you want to, you get excited. You might have a party. I mean, I don't do much. I just sit around. My family usually watches the game, and I kind of do my thing. But sometimes, I always say, if you have to lay the juice, you lay the juice. If you feel strong enough for it, then if you win, you win.
You only pay the tax if the tax man comes and collects from you. So we'll keep it in mind. You mentioned Super Bowl parties. What are you guys going to do? Stevie, where are you going to take the game in?
I'm going to go watch the game at the Hard Rock Casino, probably in Biloxi, with some friends. I got an invite to a party, but I don't know for sure yet what I'm going to do, but that's what I'm leaning towards.
Smitty, you're gonna host a giant get together at your place, 30, 40 people coming over.
It's going to be insane in the Smith house.
Hired a DJ.
Yeah, I might have to call off work, just try to set it up and everything. No, it will be we usually, my daughters now, they're starting to become teenagers. They might hang for a little bit and then disappear and go, Dad's yelling at the TV too much. And my wife might sit a little bit. It's too late though. I mean, it is because my kids go to bed. My wife goes to bed really early. So no, we'll watch, and I'll complain about the commercials. And then I usually go over, we talked on Notebook Wagering about halftime shows, and I usually go over and ask Old Man in the Garage what he's thinking of the game at halftime. I don't even watch that. So no, it's nothing crazy. It will be a very, very easy going night in the Smith house next Sunday, and just hopefully Daddy can win some money, and the wife doesn't get mad that her husband is losing some bets. So
you did what again? All right.
Yeah, exactly.
You ought to be happy. What's that best bet record right now? Because you've been killing it. 24 is just lethal.
Yeah, hold on here.
NASA scientist having to calculate it. I mean,
50 today would be, that was a good one today. IPFW. That was a straight winner today. 51-24 so far for the year in college basketball. So
for the record, Sharp Angle Secret Best Bets and otherwise 1-0 now all time with the Mastodons of Fort Wayne in India.
That's a great Youngstown State team. I mean, really good. But I thought the +5 was good value today. I thought that was a game that was going to be close. But that Youngstown State team's a very good basketball team. But Jason, that used to be on Notebook Wagering, text and said that's a team to keep an eye on to maybe win that conference, because he said he must have been watching the game. I was just tracking it. He said Youngstown does not match up very well against that team, so keep an eye on that.
I've also got to do a little more research around Fort Wayne, Indiana, to find out if they had a mastodon problem at one time. Perhaps they were overrun with mastodons. Mastodon was hunted to extinction at some point. I'm very intrigued because I was this year's day old when I learned that was the mascot there for Indiana Fort Wayne, which, okay. I like it though.
Hey, we're getting good at that. I'm standing in line at a CVS on Friday, setting the Marist game, and you're asking me about the mascot.
Yeah,
and I'm like the Red Fox, and I drilled it, man. We're good. And then you wrote that today. I mean, we're all over these college mascots. Great job, guys.
Marist missed out. They should have been the Marist counselors.
Well, you know how close it was today? That was my best bet. The money line went up a little bit, but they got a big win today. And that's usually, they came off a really bad performance that I gave out on Friday. That was a bad performance. And they came back and got a win today against St. Peter's.
There you go. Well, that gives us a little bit on college basketball tonight and kind of where we are as we go into the thick of conference season right now. And this is where the mental fatigue hits these teams. You'll learn a lot about these teams over the next 2 weeks. The middle 2 weeks in conference play in the really in any conference, but in the major conferences, it really separates the men from the boys, and you're going to learn a lot during this time stretch. And then who recovers from that, who thrives in it, that gives us a good idea going into March. But if we sit here today, Stevie, what do you feel really confident about saying about teams in college basketball as we hit this early part of February? What do we know?
Well, I mentioned it to you yesterday, Ryan, and I know Houston played a bad game at Fog Allen yesterday, but that they started slow. Kansas come out the gates hitting everything. That's not common. Houston played probably their worst game of the year, but I still believe in the team. I believe in the coach. They play by far the best defense of any team in college basketball, and as we know, defense travels. In the tournament, you definitely want to be able to play defense because shooting comes and goes. Defense shows up every game. And I tell you, man, I had St. John's yesterday, and I was highly, highly impressed with the level Connecticut played at. I mean, they bury you. When they get you down, they just keep coming, and they're going to be a tough out. So I would think that's the two best teams in college basketball. I mean, there's some teams you could take as long shots, but when push comes to shove, they got the right two teams up there favored. I mean, Purdue's another team that's favored, but as we talked about that, they always seem to choke. I don't like Painter in tournaments. I mean, he's not a tournament kind of coach.
Nope.
So according to his track record, so that's all we got to go by. So we just got to use the past to predict the future, kind of like we did with Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson until it changes.
What are you seeing right now, Smitty, as far as firming up some opinions?
No, I think Stevie said it well there with the Cougars there out of Houston. I think that the defense is great. I had Kansas yesterday just because they're so good at home. They've only been an underdog like once or twice, and it just doesn't happen. They played unbelievable, but I everything Stevie just said there, I agree with. Defense is there. Defense does play in the tournament. You look over like San Diego State has gone far in many tournaments, and I think they were in the national championship game, weren't they? Just like a year ago or 2 years ago, something like that. I don't even know off the top of my head right now. Defense travels well. Connecticut's unbelievable. I mean, they're good, great. I mean, Hurley's an unbelievable coach. The brothers in trouble with Arizona. I'm going to go on a rant on Notebook Wagering about some coaches. I mean, Hurley's safe because he's not coaching Duke, but some of these guys like Mullen that went back to St. John's and Ewing that went. I'm going to go on a rant here on Thursday night about that. But I like Tennessee. I wrote that to you, and I lost last night. I have two tickets right now. I have Tennessee and Kentucky. And watching that game, and I had Kentucky last night, not having Wagner right now is a problem for them. And Coach Cal just, I don't know, it's not clicking. So the play with Kentucky, I'm a little scared. I really like the Tennessee team. The thing on Tennessee over the last couple of years, they could defend, they couldn't score. Well, this team can score, and they have some size, they have some shooters. I think Tennessee is going to go a long way here. I want to add one or two more, and it's tough. Like Stevie said on a text today, it's tough to take like the major favorite, which could be UConn, but you try to find some value on that. But that's Tennessee right now for me. I think they're a good team. And Purdue, I said to you guys, I always get caught in because I love Purdue. I like their style. I mean, the big guy is so tough to match up against. I like I think his name's Jones. He played a really good game today too. But they don't go very far in the tournament. They always seem like they choke.
All right, boys. We got a big week coming up around here. You guys need to follow him at SmittyBucks there on Twitter. Get the best bet. You can find it on our site, Sharp Angle Syndicate, most days. And, of course, our premium picks always waiting for you. If you like the idea of 57 and 37 for your premium picks year-to-date winner, if that sounds okay, you should probably go sign up tonight. But we want you to use the promo code NBW20 because we want you to save even more money. See how this works, people. Win, save. Save money, win more money. Whoever you're sending your money to, hey, well, I always like to say, if they're beating us, give us their number. We might call them. But right now, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find the kind of value that we're generating for you at sharpanglesyndicate.com. Any parting thoughts or shots before we get out of here? Smitty, you get to go first.
No, just have a great week and cash some tickets, and we'll see you next week, and we're going to give you some more winners.
Stevie, you're going to be sending out a bunch of shrimp this week for parties?
Yeah, Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is Tuesday. This is going to be a big weekend in New Orleans with the parades and Endymion and Bacchus Saturday, Sunday, and Mardi Gras Day Tuesday. It's going to be wild down here the next week or so. I dread it. Don't worry. I'm not a Mardi Gras kind of guy. I got my fill of that when I was about 15 years old.
The thought of Stevie and Mardi Gras made me kind of tear up right there. All right, I'm Ryan Hyatt. We enjoyed it.
Can I just say something real quick? That even makes the story better that he was 15 cranking out Mardi Gras. That even makes it better. I love
Done
it.
At 15.
Not 21, 15.
There you go.
I've had 9 hard years of this. I'm out of here.
One quick story. I'll never forget. On a Mardi Gras day, we was watching the parade. We were standing in the back of my dad's pickup truck, and these two women got in a fight, and one of them cracked the other one in the back of the head with a beer bottle. And I was about 12 years old, and that kind of, I don't know, that visual kind of ruined me for life when I saw it. I was like, wow, they get pretty wild out here.
I'm going to guarantee you they're probably from East Texas. I'm telling you right now, 2-1, they were from East Texas. All right, Todd, Stevie, thanks for hanging out tonight. We'll see you guys soon here on the Syndicate podcast with no name to be named.